Welcome back, everybody. This is Appalachia, Not So Quiet. That's right from the deep, dark hollers of Knott County, Kentucky. I'm Hillbilly Phantom, and I am joined by my lovely wife,
Appalachian Shade.
Appalachian Shade. So I'm really excited about this one. This is the one we've been talking about,
The most.
right?
Yeah.
Since we started doing this, like we've got to do ghosts, scary stuff, huh?
Called folklore.
Well, yeah, that's kind of where we're going to lean tonight. Is like local Knott County folklore, like ghosts,
Legends.
legends. Yeah, it's the ones you always hear about. Like every kid in every school in Knott County has heard certain ghost stories.
But also some of our personal experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have our own ghost stories from back in our hollers when we were youngins.
Or some that our parents have shared with us when they were children.
Yeah. Our parents also had experiences. See, Appalachia is I don't know. It's different. Like even people who come here from other countries and stuff, they wander around in the Appalachian Mountains, like on the Appalachian Trail, and it's like they know there's something different about it.
Being in these hills after dark is not for the weak.
Absolutely not. There's some scary stuff out there. I mean, like real stuff we actually know about, like
Yeah.
bears and coyotes.
Cats.
Yeah, bobcats. There's people that's seen mountain lions near
Yeah.
our county.
Of course, the poisonous snakes.
Yeah, there's poisonous snakes. I mean, there's plenty of real dangers in these hills, these hollows, these mountains, but there's also the unseen dangers, the more spooky things that kind of peek at you from behind the tree.
The hills have eyes.
Yeah. There you go. Decent movie, by the way. At least the first one. So, spooky Knott County is filled with ghost stories. I've heard plenty of stories my whole life. A lot of them passed down from my uncles and brothers. Some of them, I'm sure, were just just trying to
Made up,
scare
yeah.
me. Yeah, it's just made up BS. But there was some stuff you could tell, like they were affected by some of these stories they told.
The detail was more than.
And sometimes they wouldn't even talk about the whole experience. They would just say, I saw something. I don't know if that's necessarily that they're afraid of it still, or they just don't know how to explain what they saw.
Maybe they're afraid to talk about it because a lot of people say if you talk about it, it will continue to haunt you.
That's right. There's all kinds of stories with things following people home. I actually know a story. One of my cousins supposedly was followed up our holler by something. Had no idea what it was. Thought it was a person at first, but soon realized it was something else. Not sure what. But it stayed right on their heels the whole way up the holler. And when they finally crossed the creek, that's the weird thing. Where the road crosses the creek, it wouldn't come across the creek. And I always wondered, like, I wonder if that creek was like blessed at one time or something, and maybe it was some kind of evil spirit or something.
Maybe it has a certain territory that it can control.
I wonder if it's something like demonic, evil, or if maybe it's just a spirit, somebody who used to live in the area.
Yeah, possibly.
The point being that Knott County is full of Haints and Boogers, as the old timers used to call them. You hear a lot of that when the old timers are telling their ghost stories. They call them Haints or Boogers.
So yeah, my dad has shared a few Haint stories with me as a child. The first one being my uncle, which is my dad's oldest brother, had just been to Wayland playing basketball with the famous King Kelly Coleman at the time. He went to high school with him and played basketball. Yeah. And they had dropped him off at the mouth of the holler, and he was walking home, and he talked about a haint. He could hear it in the creek, like coming after him. And he said he ran for over 2 miles. It's the quickest trip he had ever made home. He had ran so fast. And that's a pretty long haul. It's at least 3 miles from the mouth of the holler to,
wow,
to where they live.
That's even longer than what my cousin did, because their holler's just like a mile. Yeah.
And then a few years later, when my dad was a boy, he was dropped off at the mouth of the holler, and the same thing happened to him. Chased him up the holler.
The same thing in the same place?
It was a little closer on up the holler, probably like the 1 mile marker to their house. So it wasn't directly at the mouth of the holler, but he
Well,
said he
but
could see just like a star. He said it was just pitch black that night. Only light was that star, and he could hear it turning over rocks in the creek, running after him.
yeah, like it was
And
some kind of
yeah,
beast or something, maybe.
yeah. He said he didn't come home after dark after that, walking from the mouth of the holler. He
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very similar to, you know, the story my cousin told me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something because you hear a lot of those stories.
Well,
Like,
I asked him. I was like, what color was he wearing home? Because it says that they are offended by blue. So if you have blue on, that angers them. So he's
blue
like,
angers Haints.
yeah, he's like, I very well could have had blue jeans on. He's like, I don't remember. So
I don't think I've ever heard that.
yeah,
That's an interesting little fact.
and they can morph into different things because he said a few years later, as he was older, walking home, it sounded like a dog in the creek, and he kept walking. And then when he would stop, he couldn't hear it anymore. Sound like a dog in the creek, and they've been known to morph into hounds.
Oh man, so
So
that's like skinwalker stuff there.
yeah,
That's Haints and Boogers. Like they were, I mean, literally, they were a part of a lot of stories back in the day.
several people in Knott County I've met has stories.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard my whole life from old timers. I had a great uncle who was alive for a good part of my life, and we used to go visit him. And I remember him telling stories about Haints, and every now and then he'd throw in a booger.
I'm gonna assume they're the same thing.
Yeah, they were okay. And the validity of those stories that those old timers would tell us were pretty soon backed up
Yeah.
because we had our own experiences with things of this nature. I was never chased up the holler, but now the house I grew up in, it was built by my grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
and he passed before I was born. So I never got to meet him. So I think a lot of what I experienced in that house was maybe him ever seemed to try to scare me or anything like that. It was just,
Wanting to be noticed.
yeah, it's kind of playful
it's
thing.
pretty.
I remember like the first time I really kind of thought that there might be something around me was, I don't know, I was 7, 8 maybe, and I was sitting in the floor of my bedroom playing with toys, probably Transformers. It was like that was one of my favorite toys. And it just, do you know that feeling you get when there's somebody
Right.
standing right behind
You
you?
feel it.
Right, like they're just right on top of you, and you're
Yeah.
just expecting them to say something or touch you. Something's getting ready to happen. And then I whip around and
Nothing's there.
nobody's there. I'm by myself. And I would get that feeling. I would get it a lot. And pretty soon I started noticing other things. When my grandma passed, the grandfather clock that sat in our living room, which was built by my grandfather, my grandmother's husband. So my grandmother passed. And I didn't find out about this until I heard my mom and dad talking about it several years later. But that grandfather clock had stopped, and my dad had tried several times to repair it and get it going again. That never would go again. And then I heard them talking about it all those years later, and they mentioned how the clock had stopped when Grandma died.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it stopped right on that time, and it's never worked since. Still
Wow.
just sits there dormant. And you had your fair share.
I've had my fair share. I'm gonna discuss the blue house. That's what we called it.
The Blue House.
The blue house. This was farther past where my parents currently lived and where I was raised. It was more closer to one of my uncles where he lived at. My dad's grandparents lived there when he was a child. He would talk about things that would happen there. He said that one night he was at his grandparents' house on the phone with my mom, and kitchen light came on. And this particular light wasn't wired in. You had to wire it in to turn it on. He said there was, no way this light could come on. Someone had to wire it in to be able to turn it on. And it came on in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock. And then he could hear the dishes in the kitchen clacking, going on. There was no one in there. And then it just went out.
That's crazy.
And the house, doesn't matter how much firewood you put in the fire, how much coal you put in the fire, that living room would not warm up. I mean, and it was well insulated. My grandpa and my great grandpa was, carpenters, and they built their own homes, and everything was well insulated. There was nothing the living room stayed so cold, and that's where the heat, was located, and the rest of the house just stayed warm.
Was there anything associated with that house?
I don't know.
You don't know of any maybe sudden deaths or
No,
nothing like that?
no,
No idea
not that I'm aware
who
of.
the spirit may have been.
Not that I'm aware
Or
of.
maybe it was just the Haints and Boogers.
Right, they could have
Chasing
followed
your,
my dad home or
right.
something to my grandparents' house.
Chased them all the way to the house. They could,
Right.
I mean, they very well could go in the house.
Yeah. So, but as a child, the house, when I was a child, the house was still standing, and my sister and I, we would walk to my aunt's house to go play with our cousins, and you could still see the curtains hanging in the window, and it seemed like when we would go up the holler, you'd notice the window, and the curtains were closed. Then when we would come back down the holler, you'd look in the window at the front door, and the curtains were open, and it would look like someone standing there in the window.
And nobody was there.
Right. No one was there. It's an old house. No one had gone in it for years. There were still items in there, that they didn't clear out. And you could also, when you walk up through there and stuff, you could hear the dishes clicking and clanging in the kitchen. There would be times you could hear that.
Were there even dishes in the kitchen?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, they left everything. So, they just, no one ever lived in it after my dad's grandparents passed away until I was later on in life, and then my uncle moved in it while he was building a house out behind it.
Yeah. And the house isn't there anymore.
No. After they tore it down several years ago. They tore it down, and I've not heard any strange noises or anything like that up there. But I would just like to know maybe what happened to what was there.
Yeah.
Did it relocate? Is it still? Because my uncle never said anything about seeing anything, and didn't go to his new home, or they didn't witness anything at their new building.
Scary stuff.
It is very scary.
Scary. That's what we like. So I've been a big ghost person. Like I said, I started having experiences pretty young, and I kind of started learning more about it as I got older. The internet was a huge help when that finally came along. But I was never really scared of anything. Like I always had the curiosity.
What was there?
Of what it was. So I would have probably been eaten by a haint back in the day, or a booger. Yeah, because I was like, hey, what was that? And I'd go to look instead of take off running. Oh God, something's after me. But that's just me, and that led me to a life of interest in the supernatural in general. But it was really ghosts that always kind of intrigued me. Was it really spirits of our ancestors? Was it what they call the residual haunting? It was just an impression of energy on our world that is playing over and over again.
Yeah.
And sometimes it affects our world. Maybe somebody was doing the dishes. That's why they were cleaning.
Yeah. They didn't realize they weren't there.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But I did a lot of reading, a lot of research, and ghost hunting societies and stuff became a big deal on the internet, especially around the ghost hunters era when that all came out on TV. But we had already been doing it. Me and some of my friends had already been running around with disposable cameras and flashlights, going to graveyards and asking questions. Now we have everything digital.
I think it's harder to capture something on digital.
It seems to be. Like there was something about 35 millimeter. I don't know. Maybe I have no idea why. It doesn't make any sense.
I wonder if the shutter speed was just slow enough.
Well, I mean, you can adjust shutter speed no matter what type of camera it is. But
normally, people's not shooting with a slow shutter speed.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like, people would get things on older film.
Yeah. In
the new digital age, you don't see a whole lot of, and it's hard to trust a lot of stuff now because now in the digital age, people can fake so much stuff. It's hard to tell fact from fiction. But then again, we never knew. I mean, all we had was our experiences that told us that something was real. I know having that feeling of something being near me while I was playing kind of became just something that I always felt and started to kind of ignore. And as I got older, other things started happening. Electronics started kind of going crazy. I had a radio that just came on by itself in the middle of the night. I had a TV that would come on at full blast on a completely different channel than what it
Wow.
had been on and shut off all on its own. I mean, you can chalk some of that up to maybe faulty electronics, but I had a hard time trying to figure it out. I mean, I replaced stuff on the stereo, on the TV, switched remotes for the TV, got a universal one and everything. Nothing ever stopped it and continued on. And it actually got worse, but I'll talk about that some other time. That's probably an entire show in itself.
Yeah.
When me and some friends moved in together in an old house, and yeah, it was some strange times down there. But that even, that solidified that there's definitely something to these ghosts, these haints, these boogers.
And I was a child, like at the house that we lived in. It was at first it was just a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, room kitchen. As a young child, I didn't experience anything going on in our house until my parents built on a new portion with 2 more bedrooms, a large great room. And then once me and my sister moved upstairs to our rooms, then I had an experience there that I didn't sleep anymore with the light off. So I was just laying in my. I think my sister was home that night when this happened, but I hadn't gone to sleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and something was literally pulling me off of my bed.
So you were being attacked by something.
Attacked or trying to be abducted. I'm not sure. I didn't stick around. As it was pulling me off my bed, it literally flung me into the floor, and I'm trying to claw myself back up onto the bed. And I finally can get up and go to my door, and I'm trying to open my door. It's not opening. Like, I didn't lock my door at all. I was trying to get out, and so I reach over and turn the light on, and it's kind of like it just went away, and I was able to open my door.
See, that's crazy. You all got some mean stuff over there in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah,
chasing people and kicking rocks around, pulling people out of their beds.
Yeah, I always had a lamp on, and I refused to sleep at my parents' house in that room unless I have a light on.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that I would probably sleep with the light on too.
And for years, you can sit down in the great room and hear upstairs, and it sounds like footsteps, like the floor creaking and things like that.
Hear somebody walking upstairs.
Yeah. And like I said, this has only happened since they built on the new section that this happened. So I don't know, maybe disturbing the ground building on the new section brought something. Not sure.
Well, maybe it's a haint.
Maybe. I know it's something dark. I've caught it out of the corner of my eye before.
That's what I'm saying. House, haints are traditionally something, associated kind of as a dark
and my
entity or spirit.
Have caught something out of their eye. Well, I mean, you've been there. You said you caught something.
Yeah.
In the kitchen. So
I just kind of sit there and let it do its thing.
So it makes me wonder that maybe something was at the Blue House and kind of found it
migrated to.
Yeah, eventually migrated there.
I mean, it's possible, I guess. I'm definitely not going to claim to be an expert on the supernatural.
Yeah.
But I mean, very well could be. But yeah, you mentioned my experience there. We hadn't been dating very long.
No.
A couple years, maybe. But we went over there and we were waiting on your parents to get there. There was some kind of dinner or something going on. And it was just me and you. We were the only ones there. And we sat down on the couch and you were looking for the remote to turn the TV on. And I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye in the dining area where the back door is. And I turned and looked and didn't see anything. And then you turned the TV on. And then I saw something again out of the corner of my eye. And I turned and I saw plain as day something, a shadow probably about the height of a 8-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy, maybe something like that. Just waltz through the dining area towards the hallway, like where the bedrooms are and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it walked from the back door across the dining area towards that hallway. And I thought it was somebody at first. I thought it was, one of the younger grandkids or something for whatever reason at first.
And I think whatever it is, it comes and goes. Like sometimes you can go to mom's and you don't feel that presence there. And then other times you go and it's there.
Yeah.
My dad's probably like, oh, geez, they're talking about this.
I mean, I can't say that I really felt anything, but I saw that.
Which I think my sister's had a few times that she's experienced something as well. Like she said, she felt like something was sitting on her chest. So whatever it is trying to get like younger children's attention.
That's classic,
Yes.
like sleep paralysis stuff. Feels like something sitting on your chest.
Yeah.
You can't get up.
So she said she'd had a few experiences of that. Like I said, my mom and dad, have seen things. They've not experienced really anything.
Nothing's
I
really
think it's
missing.
just really just wanting attention and maybe to play. If it's
That's
if it's a young child spirit or something.
yeah.
So.
But I mean, that's strange that your mom and dad, who are there way more than anybody else,
Yeah.
they've never had any kind of experience.
Like I said, they've seen the dark, shadowy thing occasionally, not all the time, or they've heard the footsteps upstairs.
So they have. So they have had experience,
right? But not like something touching you and pulling you from your bed or anything like that.
Right, like it did with you.
Yeah.
Well, you said your dad got chased up the holler by a couple times.
Right, but that wasn't at our house.
Right, but it was towards your house. So I don't know. It could be related. I'm just trying to think that why would there be something that's attacking kids?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it very well could be.
Yeah.
Could have followed my dad home or one of my uncles at a young age.
Could just be some old ornery spirit that used to run that holler.
Yeah. Well, my dad's grandpa was kind of a kidder, but they also said he was kind of a hateful man too. But that doesn't explain what was going on at his, the blue house, because that's where he lived at. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, that seems like a little bit of an explanation. If he was kind of a prankster type of guy.
Right.
Maybe his spirit was just messing with you all. You never know. That's kind of what I felt. I felt that possibly the spirit of my grandpa. And I think, after my grandma passed, it may have been her a few times too. But some of the other experiences I had in that house, like I said, nothing ever seemed to want to hurt me or scare me.
Right. Your experience seems to be like a good experience. You're comfortable.
Yeah.
It's, loving. We experienced there is kind of a little scary.
Yeah, that would definitely be scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little scared the first time I was laying in bed late at night, and we always left our bathroom light on, and I had a small gap. Well, actually, it wasn't a small gap; it was a very big gap at the bottom of my bedroom door. So with that light on and the creaking boards in our hallway, it's very creaky. You've been in there. As soon as you step on it, but I would hear those boards creaking, and I would see the shadow of feet, walking into the bathroom, and the door would close, and then nobody would ever come out.
That's interesting.
I got up, after a while and opened the door. Nobody in there. And that one is backed up by a friend that also experienced it. And apparently my brother, I didn't know until later on, he experienced some things of that nature as well.
We don't mention it as kids and stuff.
Right. It's like,
crazy,
well,
And maybe as a child it was all in our heads. We don't know, but
something in our. I don't know. I definitely don't think that was in my head. I know it wasn't in my friend's head. When I told him, I was like, "Oh, that's just the ghost." And he was like, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "No, seriously, it's a ghost." I said, "Go ahead, go open the door to the bathroom. There's nobody in there."
I've been like, "We can't be friends anymore." I'm calling my mom.
And he did. He went in there and he opened the door and he come right back into the bedroom. Yeah, he was spending the night that night, and he was like, "Nope, I'm good." Because but that kind of freaked me out at first, the first time it happened, but then it happened several more times. And like I said, eventually, a buddy of mine came over to spend the night one time, and he experienced it as well. And it's one of those things that I don't know if that was a residual thing, some energy of maybe my grandpa, going to the bathroom for whatever reason.
Ghosts gotta go too.
Yeah, over and over again. Or it could have just been him, and he was just trying to mess with me.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because I was staying up way too late. It was like 3:00 in the morning. He's like, "All right, I'm going to scare him so he'll go on to bed." But there's even more experiences that, can't be backed up by anybody because I was by myself. But, I mean, they happened. They absolutely happened. It wasn't my imagination. There's no way. Like, I was sitting at my computer playing a video game. I was in my early 20s. I was probably 20, maybe 19 or 20. And my dad had went to the grocery store to get some groceries. My mom was at work. I was by myself, and I was waiting on my dad to get home because, he had some health complications. And when he got home, he needed help getting the groceries in. So I was waiting for him to come home. And my window is right on the patio of the house. And that's where my dad would come in the house. He'd walk through the patio into the back door. And that's the way he'd come in. So I didn't hear the door. I didn't see, usually I would see him walk by, even with my curtains drawn. I would see him walk by the window. But I paused my game and got up from my chair and heard plain as day my name shouted out. And it was my dad's voice. It was 100% his voice.
Maybe it was your grandpa.
And I
Tell me,
said,
Dad.
and I said, coming. And I, left my room, went to the kitchen, to the back door, right there. Went outside, looked. Driveway was still empty. Dad wasn't back yet. Nobody was there. I was still by myself, but I heard it plain as day. And later on, I heard that I don't know. I guess it's just a saying. I guess I've heard it several times that if you hear your name called out loud, you're supposed to say yes, Jesus, because it might be Jesus calling your name.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, but I didn't know that at that time.
Now you do.
So yeah, but that was kind of creepy. That sends a chill through your spine. You just know that somebody's there.
Yeah.
And I had that happen a couple other times at some other places. I mean, I don't want to spill all of my stories all at once. So we'll just jump ahead to now, this day and age. Me and the beautiful Shade are living on the land right beside that house that I grew up in. And we have had our own experiences.
Yes.
And one of them was security footage from our old security cameras.
We have some from the new as well.
Well, yeah, but I just wanted to, because this is the best one.
Yeah, this is the major.
Yeah, this is the best
the
one.
Most
It's crazy. So our cameras would just detect movement and go off at night.
This is when it was like
Day,
a
whenever.
computerized system. It's not the wireless.
Right, yeah, it was all right. Man, it was a headache to hook up. Had to run all those wires all through the house. It was nuts. But yeah, we
had been gone to Lexington.
Yeah.
That night.
Yeah, we were gone and the cameras had went off. A lot of times it's some kind of wildlife, like, or a cat. Like, we have some neighbors that have some cats that roam around at night. They'll come running through the yard to set off the cameras. It happened from time to time. So we didn't pay it a whole lot of attention until the next day.
And I slowed the footage down.
Right. You saw something.
Yeah, I was like, something glitched on here. What is that? That's weird.
Yeah. And you paused it at just that moment, slowed it down, zoomed it in.
I was confused because I was like, what is out there in this torrential rain?
Yeah, it was pouring the rain.
Yeah, I was like, what could possibly be out there?
But there was this white, just kind of light almost, that kind of popped up on the screen. And when you zoomed in, now this was, my mom and dad's house is kind of sitting up on a hill.
Your mom was still alive.
Yeah, this was when my mom was still around. And our house was sitting down in the bottom below that house. And this image,
it looks like of a lady possibly in a white robe with a hood.
Right. It looks like it appears on the hill, like coming down from my mom and dad's house to our house. Yeah. It's coming right beside of a dogwood tree. And yeah, it looks like a woman dressed all in white, like a white gown, and has like one of those white scarves kind of wrapped up around her head. You know how the old time you'd see the old timers in the gardens working, they'd have that scarf over their head to help protect them from the sun.
And you could see their feet.
Yeah, you could see the feet.
It's like a full apparition. You just can't see the face.
Right. It just kind of, it shows up. It's only there for just a second and it's gone. And it's some of the best ghost footage I've seen. But it's not really good as footage because it happens so fast. So we just took a still image of that. And we've had it for quite a few years. I'm not sure what year that was we captured that. 2016? Yeah, I want to say 2016. Yeah, it was somewhere in there.
We're taking the kids to do something.
Yeah, we were doing something. We were away from home, Lexington or somewhere.
And I even called your mom that night and was like, what were you doing out in the yard at 4:00 in the morning?
No, it was the next morning when we discovered it. You thought it was her.
Yeah, and she's like, I wasn't out in that rain. She said, I got more sense than that. Yeah. I was like, you didn't come down toward the house? No, I was probably asleep.
Yeah, I mean, it was so late at night. Well, like you said, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely not a person. And like I said, it comes into the image so fast. The clip is, or was, we don't actually have the clip anymore. it kind of died with their security system.
Yeah, it crashed.
Yeah. But the clip itself was 15 seconds or 12 seconds, something like that. But that image, that whatever it is, ghost, if you will, just kind of pops in and pops out.
I always say if it's white, it's something good. So it was white.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was anything
Yeah.
dark or anything that had any kind of ill intent.
And we showed it to a few of your cousins,
That,
and they're like, "That looks like grandma."
yeah,
Oh.
I was getting ready to go there. When we showed it around to some neighbors, yeah, my cousins, they immediately said, "That looks just like your grandma. She used to dress like that and go over and work in the garden, like just a gown and a little scarf on her head. She'd go over to the garden." And I was like, well, I wonder if that's what we caught.
Wow.
Maybe just a residual of grandma walking to the garden.
So, yeah, we're gonna share this on our TikTok, the pictures that we have.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
We finally started a TikTok.
So you can find that on Appalachian, Not So Quiet. Just type that in your TikTok and you should be able to find us there.
Appalachia Not So Quiet on TikTok. We're going to try
share those images. And then we have a few videos of now our blink cameras recently.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have some videos. It may take a little bit longer for us to put all that up on TikTok or however we decide to put it up.
We have the mist that was going over the culvert, and then we also caught mist at the foot of your mom's steps, and then you can actually see feet. That's all you see, but there's feet, and it looks like it's trying to walk up the steps.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange videos.
Yeah, and then there's a few orbs.
Yeah, unexplained little balls of light moving around, like how bugs move around.
No, this is definitely not bugs. Not lightning bugs.
Yeah.
Not anything on the cameras, because after we seen our first one, we tried to keep the cameras cleaned off and make sure that there was nothing there.
Yeah, make sure that it wasn't any debris on the camera lens or anything like that. I've been doing the ghost hunting gig. I've done it for long enough, and I knew what dust and bugs and things like that look like on cameras. And yeah, some of those, I can't figure them out. But now some of them that you have come to me, you're like, hey, look at this. And it was obviously a bug.
It was a spider web on the camera or something.
Or a spider web. Yeah, something. But now, yeah, there's a few we've got that are
just unexplainable.
Yeah, very strange. And then, yeah, we've had some mist and things like that on our newer camera system. So, yeah, we'll try to get all the videos and everything uploaded eventually, but we're going to start. We'll probably just make a little TikTok sharing some of those pictures.
I definitely want to get the lady in white posted to go on with this segment.
Yeah. And I've got a few.
So I want y'all to go check that out.
I've got a few things left over from my old ghost hunting days. Yeah, we're definitely going to do this again because there's so many stories. I mean, we just barely scratched the surface with the experiences we've had and things we've seen, stories we've heard from our elders. There's a lot of supernatural-like activity in Knott County, Kentucky. And anybody who lives back in these dark, dense hollers will tell you that, you're not always alone out there.
What about your friends that were camping?
Yeah. You know what? I would really like to have them on to tell the story. I don't really want to tell the story because they tell it so much better.
More detail.
I'm not a very good storyteller. If I maybe type it out, I can tell the story. But when I'm trying to tell it just for memory, I've got that whole ADHD thing. Get distracted and start talking about something else. But yeah, we're going to try to have a lot more shows. I would love to have, because that story that my friends have, I think that falls into a strange creatures, maybe, or cryptids.
Just what little you told me. I don't, no way.
Yeah.
I'm not going camping in these hills.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
At least not in the hills they were in. They were in a particular part of Knott County. After they told me that story, many years later, I met some people from the area and asked them, you think there's any truth to this? My friends told me this story. And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. But like I said, that's something I would love to be able to talk to one of those people that was involved, and have them tell the story. Because it's a crazy story, and I can't do it justice, I don't think. But like I said, I want to have many more, But like I said, that falls into like a cryptid maybe category. And there's a lot of stories about weird creatures, from the Appalachian Mountains and even in Knott County. I've heard some stories about, strange things that people have seen in these mountains. Not just spooky ghosts,
Right.
phantoms and
Bigfoot.
things
We had a few
coming out
people
of the
say they've
mist.
seen
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
yeah,
So
yeah. Bigfoot. Yeah, people have talked about Bigfoot. People have talked about all kinds of different things. There was some kind of lizard guy.
oh no, I've not heard that.
Yeah, like I said, we could do a whole story just on the strange creatures that might inhabit Knott County, Kentucky. But I want to go, since we're talking Knott County here, I want to go to probably,
The biggest legend in Knott
yeah,
County.
yeah, probably the most famous ghost story, legend, whatever you want to
If
call
you
it.
Google it, this
Yeah,
is the biggest
yeah, it's like the number one
legend
thing
ghost story in
when you're
Knott
looking
County.
up ghost stories or whatever on Google or anywhere on the internet.
We'll just state this: we don't mean any disrespect to his family or anything. We're just going on by information that we found and heard over the years. So, and hey, if we're wrong, we'd love to have you on and correct us and
Right.
discuss this story even more.
Yeah, I know there's because this is a real dude. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't want anybody to think this is just some urban legend. This was a real guy. Now, whether or not all of the things about this guy is true, I don't know.
or
And
everything we've heard.
the mythos that has evolved around him since his death, I don't know if any of that's true. But this was a real dude, Johnny Booger.
Yeah.
Okay, they called him Johnny Booger. Now, some sources say that that was a playful tease by kids when he was younger, that he got named Booger, and others say that he gained that name because of the whole Haints and Boogers,
Yeah,
like he was somehow connected to them or could somehow communicate with them. I don't know.
he was born with that special.
Right. He seemed to have all kinds of strange abilities. He was well known in Knott County for his supposed healing ability. Some people even took their kids to see him, if they were sick.
Hmm.
So he was kind of like a healer.
Like a granny witch.
Yeah, you hear stories about these old people. There's the legends of the
Which
Indians with their healers and everything. Well, guess what? Appalachian people had, they had those people too. They had people that were just seemed to be able to
have a healing touch,
yeah, have a healing touch
knew
or
what herbs and things like that.
yeah, or knew strange ways to take care of things, and it seemed like almost magic. Maybe some of it was. Who knows? Like the when we were doing the old wives' tale, and you talked about the buttons of a rattler
Yeah,
pinned to the kid, so it helps with teething. Is that
yeah,
what it was, teething?
yeah. They wouldn't have so much pain when they're teeth.
Yeah. So that kind of falls into this kind of category. Like these people, yeah, I mean, they viewed them as kind of like witches and stuff, but they weren't bad people, and the community usually trusted them. And like I said, people took their kid, their sick kids to Johnny Booger to be healed. He had some kind of strange healing power. And there's a story about a woman who didn't believe in Johnny Booger's power, and he made an entire herd of sheep appear, and she touched them and was like, "Oh my God, they're real. Where did they come from?" And then he made them disappear again. And people said he had the ability to make tables walk across the floor, dance. Yeah, he could make the furniture dance. I mean, this is some crazy stuff. I mean, no wonder this guy's famous. So beyond all that, there's differing stories. I know when I was in school, no matter where you went to school at in Knott County, it seemed like everybody knew Johnny Booger. And the stories that we always heard were more dark, I guess. Yeah. Johnny Booger angered God or something, or cursed at God, and then he died, and he was, left to roam the earth forever or something along those lines.
Sometimes kids can exaggerate things.
Right. Yeah. We got, but that's kind of something along those lines is usually what we got. Now, the stuff that you find online, because there's descendants of Johnny Booger still around, and some people who remember him. Something I read said that he lost his powers because he started going to church and sleeping with a Bible every night, and he died a saved man. So I don't know, but there's also all these stories since his death of strange occurrences at his grave. Now, I don't even know where his grave is, and I'm definitely not going to tell anybody.
Yeah, you shouldn't Shouldn't
Yeah,
visit
I can tell you right now,
Be respectful of the family and don't
number one
visit.
rule, if you're doing any kind of ghost investigating or anything like that, be respectful. Don't just go stomping around in cemeteries and stuff. Make sure you got permission, things of that nature, because it's just not cool to just pull up in somebody's cemetery.
Yeah, just to have a little Halloween fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's exactly the kind of things that kids did back then, though, and that's you had a lot of stories, and I never knew if they were true or not. Like I said, I have no idea where the grave is. Never been there. I actually do have a last name, but I'm not going to say it. I don't want anybody being angered by anything that might be said on here,
yeah.
because, like I said, there are still descendants of Johnny Booger around. But there are many accounts that kids would tell back in those days. When I was in high school, there was several kids that claimed, yeah, we went up there and partied up at Johnny Booger's grave, and the stone glowed, and the wind was blowing.
Depends on what kind of party they were having.
Blew our beer cooler over, and all the beer spilled out, stuff like that. They would claim that weird stuff would happen to them every time they went up there.
Yeah.
So I looked around and I found a story, kind of a firsthand account, I guess, of somebody who supposedly went there. This is actually not too long ago. I think it was somewhere maybe 10, 15 years ago. I believe this is a woman. This was something that was put up on the internet. I'm pretty sure it was like a Facebook post or something. And somebody just did a screenshot or something. I just kind of stumbled upon it. And I wanted to share it because this is literally the kind of stories I would hear from people at school. So it says it was October, and my friends and I were buzzing with excitement. We had heard the stories about Johnny Booger and his grave in Knott County. The tales of strange happenings and eerie lights had spread like wildfire among our classmates. We decided it was time to see for ourselves. We arrived at the cemetery just after midnight, armed with some flashlights and a portable speaker. We made our way to Johnny's grave, which was marked by a simple stone. We set up our little party, blasting music and laughing nervously. As we shared some ghost stories and took selfies, I had the feeling that we were being watched. My friend turned off the music and we sat in silence. The only sound was the rustling of leaves. Suddenly, a flicker of light caught my eye and I turned to see a soft glow around Johnny Booger's grave. My heart raced as I pointed it out to my friends, and we all stared in disbelief. The light pulsed slightly, almost like a heartbeat. We were frozen in place, unsure of what to do. I suggested we go closer to the grave, and as we approached, the light seemed to dim. I felt a chill as we gathered around the grave, and cold air seemed to be all around us. A sudden gust of wind swept through, and all of the flashlights went out. We fumbled to turn them back on, and when the lights flickered back to life, the glow from the grave was gone. We decided it was time to leave, our laughter replaced by nervous chatter as we hurried back to our car. That night at his grave is one I will never forget. It made me a believer in the stories I've heard about Johnny Booger. So yeah, that's exactly the types of things I would hear. I would hear some people say like flames would come out of the gravestone and stuff. Nobody ever brought any kind of photographic proof. I've never seen cell phone footage of any of this.
Right.
It's something that makes me skeptical about this story. Is they're talking about taking selfies, but nobody bothered taking a
Right.
video of the glowing gravestone. That would have been cool.
Right.
But like I said, I used to hear stories just like that. And maybe that leads some credence to them, or maybe this person's just,
BSing.
yeah, repeating something they heard their older
Right.
brother or their dad or something tell. Yeah. Who knows? But Johnny Booger is a myth and a legend of Knott County. And I think just about everybody probably already knows about him. But I definitely wanted to touch on him.
Yeah.
Because that's probably one of the biggest Knott County ghost stories, I guess. I mean, we could go on and on about all the lore of ghosts and monsters and creatures and things of Knott County. We've both heard plenty of stories. We both have plenty of stories. But I think we've run out of time.
Yeah. This is definitely going to be a Monday segment.
Think so?
Yeah,
You
Monday
think we'll
episodes.
do ghosts on Mondays every Monday?
Yes, ghosts on Mondays.
Yeah, we might do that. We'll see. Like I said, we're still kind of winging this, but it's getting better. And I really like this episode. Like I said, I was excited to talk ghosts. One of my passions. Love the whole ghost scene, ghost busting, ghost hunting, all of it. But we're gonna say goodbye. But first, we have to mention our sponsor, Abby's Southern Sips. You got to come out this coming weekend, right?
Friday.
Yeah, July 25th and 26th.
Starting at 5
The
p.m.
North Fork Music Festival at the Triangle in Hazard. Abby's going to be set up there selling her delicious gourmet lemonades.
Lots and lots of fresh fruit.
Oh yeah, she just piles that fruit in there, doesn't she? It's good. It's so good.
You get what you pay for, definitely.
Yeah, you always get what you pay for at Abby's Southern Sips. But North Fork, yeah, this Friday and Saturday.
And if you're listening to this, tell her we sent you. So.
Yeah, tell her you heard about her on Appalachian, Not So Quiet, and it probably won't get you a discount or anything, but she'll know that you heard about her from us.
Yeah, who knows? She may throw you a little discount in there.
She'll throw you a little extra piece of fruit. All right, well, yeah, get out there, listen to some great music, and have you a delicious lemonade from Abby's Southern Sips. We're going to get out of here. I am Hillbilly Phantom, and my lovely wife,
Appalachian Shade.
Appalachian Shade. I love that name. I love you. Thank you all for listening. Come back and listen to us on the next episode. Probably a couple days.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. We're shooting for Wednesday. So come back and listen to us again on Wednesday. Until then,
see ya.
Take care, everybody. Watch out for those Haints and Boogers.